How's it going, guys? It's me, Louis, back with another album review here on Rip It Up Music, and today on what is potentially going to be the hottest day in the UK of 2020, I think. Hopefully it doesn't get hotter than this. We're doing a review of the brand new album by Aminé, and it's called Limbo. And subscribe if you're new. So for those of you unfamiliar with the rapper Aminé, he is a rapper, singer, songwriter from Oregon, and he kind of first came to big commercial success with a song that loads of young people know. It's a song called Caroline. And this Limbo is his second studio album. His last one was released back in 2017, so it's been a bit of a gap between albums, but he's come back with quite a solid album in my opinion. I don't think it's particularly extraordinary. I don't think it's necessarily an album of the year contender, but it's a half decent album nonetheless. So thinking about this album as a whole, a lot of old school hip hop influences in this album, and lots of influences from old school Kanye as well. Lots of references made to Kanye as well in these tracks, but that's not to say that he sticks with old school hip hop and kind of 2000s Kanye. He does make a lot of references to more contemporary hip hop. You know, he makes a reference to Rico Nasty in one of his tracks, and obviously he has some important players in contemporary hip hop featuring on this album as well. We've got people like JID, we've got Injury Reserve as well, and slowthai. You know, big up and coming names in hip hop, which is really cool to see on this album. So thinking about the tracks I like from this album, I really like Shimmy, released as a single a while back now, a couple of months ago. Makes strong references with a sample of Shimmy Shimmy Ya by Old Dirty Bastard, who of course was a member of Wu-Tang Clan. It's a dark and brooding track, but I really like it as a tune in general. We've also got Roots featuring JID and Charlie Wilson, because Charlie Wilson, a big R&B and funk legend, featuring on this track, is made for a really good slow jams track in Roots. I also really like Compensating with Young Thug. You know, this is taking us to Vibe Central. It's got a nice beat done by T-, who did the beat for The London. I think Compensating is really catchy too. Good hook from Aminé, and also a good verse from Young Thug as well. Young Thug probably the biggest artist to feature on this track as well. There's also some really important lyrically complex tracks on this album. For example, Becky opens up an important conversation about racial inequality and Aminé's experience of growing up in suburbia. The real standout track for me is Fetus, featuring Injury Reserve. It's just, again, talks about the potential harm of bringing a child into this world, which I think is something that isn't necessarily spoken about so much in hip-hop. It's quite a challenging topic, I think, more challenging than you perhaps realise on the surface, but Fetus is for me a deep track, and also we get verses from members of Injury Reserve, including a feature from the very talented late stepper Jay Groggs, who sadly passed away end of June, beginning of July, unfortunately, but he does feature on this album, and that's really nice to see one of his final released songs on this album. And I don't even think that there are particularly any bad songs on this album. There are some that I do find a bit boring, in all honesty. I find Mama to be not particularly inspiring. I find Riri to be a bit repetitive and a bit dull, in all honesty, as is My Reality, the final track as well. That's not to say that Aminé is hugely talented, especially when it comes to his flow and his rapping, and I feel usually His hooks are quite good. For example, the hook on Shimmy is very strong for me, and I think the hook on Compensating as well. I have seen mixed reviews online, but I do think that the hook on that track is really good. It's really catchy. It's a good summer tune as well. So all in all, it's a pretty good album from Aminé, if I'm going to be honest. And I'm going to give it a 7-. Now I know that might grind a few gears here, but I feel like we're still yet to see Aminé at his full potential, and I'm really excited to see what he has to show us next. For now though, let's enjoy this album because it's well worth a listen. Some great features on that album and just some great solo tracks from Aminé as well. Definitely one to watch, and his lyricism is just beyond compare, in my opinion, amongst people of a similar standards to him in terms of their position in the rap hierarchy. You know, he's starting to be compared to the likes of J. Cole for his lyrics. I reckon Aminé could surpass J. Cole in terms of being seen as an important rapper who comments on society and politics and lots of important topics that need to be spoken about in hip hop. So go and have a listen to this album. It's a 7-. It's pretty good. Stop right there. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop it a like. If you're new to the channel, I suggest that you do subscribe because we have lots of exciting videos on the way. If you want to check out some of my previous work, there's going to be some videos here. Again, I don't really know what to do here, but you can click on those and stop me from being awkward here. Your mum's probably listening to this in the other room and thinking, what is this guy chatting about? Okay, that's enough now.